What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Rip, Rattle, and Rose podcast. This is the place that we have authentic conversations on mental health, womanhood, sisterhood, and purpose. As always, I am your host, Rose, and today I have the luxury of having two beautiful women here with me, my niece, Destiny, and my sister, Delisa. Both of them, unfortunately, has experienced the loss of their first baby, having sleeping babies, and coming home from the hospital without babies and trying to figure out how to do life dealing with something that they were not anticipating. So this episode is called Conceiving After Loss. Our hopes is to connect with other women that have experienced this, to maybe give information that can prevent it, and then to encourage one another on our journey for day-to-day life. Destiny wanted me to start with Delisa, so that is what we're going to do. Delisa, take it from the top. How did you see pregnancy before you got pregnant? And then just give us your experience, your story.
Okay. Prior to my loss, in my mind, I always thought once you got pregnant, you went through the entire duration of your pregnancy and you came home with a baby. I've known other women who've lost their baby, but you always think it's not going to happen to me, or, you don't never think that it's going to happen to you. So at that time, there was an innocence that came along with pregnancy that always brought a child back. It was almost like the story, go get the baby, bring it back. So my experience with my pregnancy, it was a very easy pregnancy. I wasn't sick, wasn't really gaining weight, but I wasn't losing any weight. He was growing at the rate he was supposed to go, according to the doctors and the ultrasound. Everything was fine. The only thing that I was not informed about was my cervix. I was 29 when I was pregnant with my son, but years prior to, at 22 and 23, I had abnormal pap smears and I had to get about 6 biopsies. Mm-hmm. But my doctor reassured me that when it came time to have a child, that my cervix would be fine. I would be able to carry a baby for the duration of a pregnancy, and I would deliver a healthy baby. Fast forward, when I got pregnant with my son, like I said, everything was fine. It was very easy. I wasn't sick. I was going to work every day. Everything was fine. I felt like I was eating like I was supposed to, drinking like I was supposed to. And just one day, when I was 22 weeks, I had went to go register for school to finish my master's degree. And that day I was having like very minor back pain, but it wasn't anything that was like crazy alarming to me. This is like minor back pain. I used the restroom, and I noticed when I wiped myself, it was a discharge that I had never seen before. So I didn't know what it was. So I started Googling, like, okay, well, my back is hurting a little bit, and I have like a pinkish, but not really pinkish color discharge, but it was in an abundance. It was a lot. But still, I'm not in any, like, it's not a 911 situation, I didn't think. So I started Googling. The preterm labor came up. I read everything about it. I had every single symptom, but in my mind, I still felt like, not me. I mean, I'm not having this baby today. I'm not even in real labor. So I went home and voiced my concerns to you. And we went to the hospital. We got to the hospital. They didn't seem like it was an emergency. I told them what was going on. They put me in a room. They left me in a room with like 4 or 5 other pregnant girls, and we just sat there and we chilled for about an hour. Finally, a midwife came in and she did a pap smear, and the look on her face freaked me out. She didn't say anything, but she immediately like pulled the stuff. She stopped the pap smear and she went and got a doctor. And then she came back and then she was like, oh, everything's going to be okay. And I'm like, well, why are you telling me this? I'm like, well, what's the problem? And she's like, everything's going to be okay. So she go get a doctor, and the doctor's like, call 911, send out a crisis. I'm like, I'm at the hospital. Why y'all calling 911? So they sent me to a trauma hospital. They had a NICU that would be able to take care of a premature baby in an event that I had my child early. I get in the ambulance. I go to the hospital. At this point, like my anxiety is going crazy. I'm losing my mind. I don't know what's going on, and nobody's really telling me nothing. She told me before I left that she can see his foot protruding. It was still in a bag. The bag was intact, but she could see his foot protruding through my cervix. So I get the Christ, and I'm telling them what's going on. Like, hey, the midwife at the other hospital told me if I just kind of lean my bed back, then maybe the bag and the foot will go back in, and that maybe you guys can put me on like some fluid so that I can just hold him in a little longer, so that we can try to give it more chance at life. Um, that hospital was basically like, where's your insurance? So I had to wait for someone to bring my insurance. They wouldn't even register me. So I got my insurance there. My insurance came maybe about 30, 45 minutes after me. So after they got the insurance, they weren't interested in preserving life at all. They just kept telling me, well, when you have this baby, we can prepare better next time for the next one, because this pregnancy is still very young, and if we do any kind of life saving, anything on a baby, then they give me all the money. He could be brain dead, he could be blind, he can be disabled, yada yada. So we're gonna make sure he's comfortable while he died. So that was not the answer that I wanted. I didn't have the wherewithal to go to another hospital at that time. I felt stuck. So I stayed there and I just started trying to do things on my own. So I started trying to lean the bed back, and the nurse would come in there and they would be all mean and mad at me, and they would lean the bed back up, and they kept asking, you want us to break your water? Want us to break your water? And I'm like, no, why would I want to rush? He's still alive. Why would I want to rush the death of my son? Like, I don't want this to be over as fast as y'all do. I know you're at work and I know you're in a rush, but I'm not in a rush. So I was going back and forth with them. And then finally they wanted to check me. As soon as she checked me, my water bag broke. So they checked me, the bag broke, and they were like, okay, well, that's it. You have to deliver this baby. I don't know how many centimeters I was. I don't know how many what. I don't know how nothing. They didn't give me any information. They just told me to push him out. So I delivered him. He lived for about 3 hours. I don't really remember because I was like in and out. I kept like blacking out. Um, I remember I woke up and I was in another room, and he was in a I don't know, one of those little crib beds, and he was dressed, but he had already died. Um, so I ended up getting sick. So I stayed in hospital for 5 days. All 5 of those days, they let me keep him in the room, which I guess was cool. I got to spend some time with him, dead or alive. Because I know most mommies probably see their babies once or twice, and that's it. But I got to keep him however long I wanted to in my room for those 5 days. So I got to, get a look at him, get a feel for him. He was very, very tiny. Um, and you know, they put me in the area of the hospital where I didn't have to hear babies crying and anything like that. So that was a great thing for me. And it was like, to me, it was a sad feeling in the hospital, but leaving, it felt even worse because I know I came in with the baby and I left with nothing, just me. Um, and I don't think I've ever looked at pregnancy the same since. It's like pregnancy for me now has lost that innocence. Like whenever I see pregnant women, if I see it in abundance, if I see 4 pregnant women lined up, I'll be like, I hope all y'all have a healthy baby. And if I see 8, I'll be like, somebody gonna lose their baby. It always think that like, damn, one of these women probably not gonna bring their babies home. Cause I know the statistics now that it's 1 in 8. So one out of every woman experienced some kind of loss, whether it's a miscarriage, stillbirth, SIDS, or whatever the case may be, someone typically lose, their baby. So it's just like now pregnancy is just not as innocent to me. And just carrying a baby now is very stressful. And I'm always very high in anxiety and wondering if the worst is going to happen, or will the worst happen, or when the worst is going to happen.
Okay. Yeah. That's heavy. Thank you. I do know that during your hospital stay, the nurses made the stay better because they were kind. And didn't they check up on you after you, which is amazing.
Sent me cards to the house and stuff.
But I did, like when we left the hospital, like you didn't have to say that there was an emptiness in you, because I looked in your eyeballs, and I could tell that that there was an emptiness in you. But it's been a unique journey to watch your eyes change now. So to hear you speak about him, and keep his name relevant, never letting anybody forget that he was here. He is always a part of our entire family. And I can appreciate you wanting to be a voice for young women. Lord knows if you ain't the woman that's shoving everybody's breast down their baby throat, because of being a NICU mom.
Trust the formula. I don't trust it. I don't trust nothing no more.
But I think that even in the midst of something being so painful, there is still remnants of beauty in it, because you had to do because of how you felt. I don't even know if you noticed it. You're extremely attentive to pregnant women and postpartum mothers, like extremely. Where the rest of the world is going about their business, you be on them, and I appreciate that. And yeah, I love that about you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Miss Destiny. Before getting pregnant, like your thoughts, and then up until now.
Okay, so before getting pregnant, I kind of, what I want to say, I kind of imagined pregnancy being like a wonderful thing, watching people go through different situations, whether they were sick, whether they were feeling great. Everyone that I know that had kids always got to like post like their baby movement, and start feeling attachments to kids. I was scared when I got pregnant. Due to the circumstances, I found out that I was pregnant literally maybe 2 or 3 hours before my mom passed. So I was in the hospital trying to figure out how long I was for up to 13 hours before I discharged myself. Got home to the bad news of my mom passing away. So I was like skeptical of even having a baby, knowing that I was already still grieving from my grandfather, and then she passed away. So I wasn't excited about being pregnant.
How much space? How long? With your grandfather and your mom, how much time? Was it like 2 weeks?
Yeah, no, it was a month. So my papa passed away May 26th, and my mom passed away June 22nd. So not a full month, but a couple of weeks apart. So yeah, I wasn't too excited about being pregnant. I didn't know what to expect, because anybody that I go to, the first person that I call was my mom. So I didn't have that experience to even give her the knowledge or acknowledge the fact that I was pregnant to her. So that kind of broke me. I don't think I started getting excited about being pregnant until maybe I started feeling my daughter's first movements. I started picturing how everybody else reacted and how everything made for me. It's like before I found out, my stomach was like just hurting. It felt like I was about to come on my cycle, but it wasn't coming down. And I was just confused. And then the moment I heard your pregnancy test is positive, I was sick. I was sick as a dog. They call it morning sickness, but I called it all day sickness because I would throw up, have diarrhea all at once. I was just real sick. I stopped working. I was out of work for I was probably 7.5 months when I started back working with my daughter. So once it was one day, I kind of felt, well, at her doctor's appointment, I felt like nothing was ever positive said about my daughter. From the test, the glucose test, till up to hearing that my daughter, instead of gaining weight, she was losing weight. I didn't gain any weight. I lost weight while being pregnant with her as well. I wasn't eating. I had like 2 cravings, which was like strawberry sundaes, and I ate sandwiches and salads my whole life. I couldn't keep nothing down at all. So I think I was trying to figure out different ways of how to sneak and eat. Like maybe when she was asleep, I can try to eat an Italian beef or something, but it really never worked. So up until the day I lost her, well, I had actually went to the doctor December 30th. On January 2nd, I was at work and I started feeling contractions. I experienced Braxton Hicks contractions, so I wasn't taking it serious at work. It wasn't bothering as bad.
Was it like cramps?
Yeah, it just felt like cramps. But then towards the end of the night of my shift, it started getting closer. I still ignored it, thinking I was fine. That morning of the 2nd, I had felt like a sharp pain go through my chest, but I didn't really like take nothing serious or think to go to the hospital. So when the contraction started, I just thought again, it was Braxton Hicks. At about 4:00 in the morning, my contractions went from like 10 minutes apart to literally 2 to 3 minutes back to back. I was scared. I didn't want to call anyone that early in the morning to try to rush me to the hospital or nothing. So I tried to wait like 3 more hours. Then I called my aunt. By my reactions in the car, she was saying like, "Oh, Destiny, you're gonna have a baby today," because my contractions was like bad. It hurt real bad. I arrived to the hospital that my OBGYN was a part of, and I sat in the waiting room for probably about 10, 15 minutes. At that time, COVID was really bad, so I had to wait to go upstairs. When I got upstairs, they tried the first type of monitoring on my stomach, where they like attach the blue and pink bands with a monitor to try to find a heartbeat. And the nurse was asking me, was it always hard to find my baby's heartbeat? Which it was, because she was active. So I didn't think nothing of it. So she ended up ordering an ultrasound, where the lady had came in and did the ultrasound, and she like had a confused look on her face, but she didn't explain to me what was going on. A doctor actually came in and told me that my daughter actually didn't have a heartbeat. I was, of course, scared. I was frightened. I was confused. I literally just left my OBGYN, my OB-GYN on the 30th, and today was the 3rd. So I'm trying to figure out how within 4 days my daughter doesn't have a heartbeat. How is she not moving? I had a lot of questions, but it was questions that they couldn't answer. One thing that disturbed me was they told me that I would have to deliver her and that she was already gone and she was passed away. So my first question was, if I leave the hospital today, what would happen? And she told me that, in so many words, that I'll catch an infection. I'm sorry. That I'll catch an infection and that I would probably pass away from it. So they gave me time to think about it. So I ended up staying at the hospital. My contractions got worse. They gave me some type of medication. I think was morphine, where I just kind of felt a little woozy. And like, it was like probably like an hour and a half that went by that the morphine started to wear off and the contractions got like stronger. So she checks my cervix again. Well, when I came into the hospital, I was already 3 centimeters. When she checked again, I was 8.5. She ended up telling me that I couldn't have more morphine. So I asked for the epidural, and right when they like put it inside of me, like 3 minutes later, I felt pressure, which meant like she was coming out. Another thing they didn't tell me was that my baby was breached. So when I started to deliver and started to push, her legs came out first. And the doctor who was helping deliver, she was like extremely rude. I had a good experience with the nurses, but I felt like she came in, she didn't acknowledge me or my grandma. She didn't like introduce herself or nothing. So I just felt like it was already weird with her being in a room, on top of when delivering, she was like sticking her hand, trying to get the circumference of my baby's head, which she wasn't explaining nothing to me. So my delivery process was like terrible. I almost broke my baby neck trying to sit up, trying to fight the doctor and all, because I don't know what was going on. But when delivered, they like took her, cleaned her up, put her on a nice little dress and stuff. And she sat in the hospital with me for, I think we was in a room together for about 2-3 days. I think it was 2 days. They had basically put her in like a little baby bed that kept her body cooling. And one nurse had just walked in like on the second day and was like, oh, we have to take her so she doesn't lose her coloration for the funeral. And I had already told them that she was getting cremated. So I had an attitude that they took my baby, but yeah, they took her away for her color. But I didn't care about her deteriorating because I already knew that I was gonna cremate her and didn't want to do a funeral. So that kind of disturbed me. But those 2 days, they asked me, did I want to be moved to the other side of the hospital? And I told them no. That first night when she was like laying in the bed next to me, a baby did cry on the labor side. So I like jumped up having like that mommy instinct, and it wasn't her. So I think that's when I finally came to like realization that she was dead and she wasn't alive. And I wasn't taking this baby home with me. They moved me to the other side because of that experience. And once they took her, it was like, I was still like in a state of shock. It was very dreading leaving the hospital at day 3. I just kept thinking like, why did it happen to me? My after leaving the hospital experience was terrible. I had a prescription to pick up from Walgreens, and it was like this girl walked in, she had a car seat, and I was like, in my head, like, how does she get to have her baby and my baby is gone? Any pregnant girl or people that I seen with kids, I couldn't be around for a long time due to my feelings of not having my own baby and being able to have that relationship and start building a bond with her. So it was like my personal thoughts in my head was like, it was terrible. I had evil thoughts just about why them and not me? Like, what was the purpose of God taking my child away from me already after I lost my mom? So I basically had to start getting better and healing with the grieving process. I started going to therapy and started talking to like family members and stuff more, because I did get like real shady and I went like MIA on a lot of people. So I'm doing better, but of course, finding out that I was pregnant again, like a month and a half later, my anxiety levels are like skyrocket. my appointments are towards the end of the month now instead of like the beginning. So it's like I'm always rushing to go to the hospital. I just don't change that. Anytime I see something that's going on, whether it's a discharge or I see spotting, I'm rushing to the ER. I feel like I'm handling this pregnancy well, but I am scared and skeptical of what could happen, especially after delivering a stillbirth and my doctor telling me that I will have to be induced maybe between 37 and 39 weeks. So I just really try to stay on top of it and pray for the better, like pray for the best, and just pray that this time I'll be able to walk out the hospital with my daughter instead of leaving her behind.
Yeah, definitely having a rainbow baby. I'm already claiming it. No, but thank you. And I don't really feel like people have to apologize. Like, you never have to apologize for crying, and you never have to apologize for how you grieve. I think grief is tricky. There is no no manuscript on how you grieve. My thing is like, because I know that sometimes we all want to isolate when we're going through heavy things, which is sometimes necessary for a short amount of time, but dangerous if you stay gone. Even when you need a moment, you know how sometimes I text you like, "Hey, little girl, you real quiet over there. I just want you to say something so that I know you're okay." And because I know there's nothing nobody can do. I know with Delisa, her triggers was you young, you can have another baby. Nothing would piss her off worse than saying, "Oh, that used to make her mad." I knew that's a trigger. That was a trigger for you too. Because I learned a lot through Delisa. She said when she heard that, it was almost like you're disregarding what I lost. There's no baby that's make up for that one. Like, you know, and I didn't understand it until I got so close to it. And then it was a lot of times where ain't nothing to say. She just want me to sit there and shut up. And I'm okay with that because I don't have no words. No way. So what, I asked both of y'all, so what do you feel like, if you was talking to other family members, like what do you feel like helped you, and what do you feel like was a hindrance to the grieving process? Whoever want to go.
I just want to say something. Destiny, as far as like your thoughts that you had afterwards, I wouldn't label them as evil. I think it's normal. You know, when you go through something so traumatic, you know, even losing your mom and your grandfather, but losing your own child, it's such a precious time in a, you know, a time in your life where you needed her most. Like, why would you not look at other people and be like, I needed my baby more than all of y'all needed y'all, so why me? You know, so it's not evil, and it's a thought. I think every woman that has ever lost a baby see somebody with the baby and have that exact thought in their mind. It's not evil. It's not saying that she should have lost hers. It's saying why we couldn't have done this together. You know, I want a car seat too. I want to hold my baby too. I want to be tired and I want to be a zombie like all these other mothers, because that's what I signed up for. But instead, I got nothing but pain and grief, and to be misunderstood because people don't understand you because they feel like you can't have another mom, right? You can't have another grandpa, but you can have another baby. You know what I'm saying? As if it's easy, like you carried her all that time just to lose her, you know, to fall in love with her, just to for her to leave. And for you to do it again and say, "Oh, well, forgive Malaya. I'm gonna have this new baby and we gonna live it up and Malaya gone." It's like it's been 7 years for me, and I still put Dea and Danny in a car seat, and I still know that I'm missing Davy. And when I'm going Christmas shopping every year, I feel a certain kind of way. When I'm taking my kids on vacation, I always feel like he's missing out because he's not there, and it don't go away. I still cry in the shower. I get in the shower, I let the water run, I stay in long, I boohoo, and I get out like nothing happened. But I need those moments, you know. So don't ever feel like your feelings are wrong or evil. Is normal. And then sometimes they normal, but they feel evil. So you're scared to speak them out loud. But if you want to tell anybody what you think, and tell me, because I thought everything you think. Trust me, probably even worse than what you're thinking. But I'm sorry, Rose, what was the question again? I just want to address that.
No, I think it's a good thing that you.
What was traumatic about our grieving process, or what helped and what didn't help?
Yeah, right. But no, I wanted to say that because that was I'm actually glad that you did say that, because I do believe that there's not enough spaces for people to be honest about how they feel. That yes, I 100% love and believe in God, but I'm so mad at him right now. I don't understand none of this. Did not make sense. Like, I have looked at my entire life and I never considered any of this. So, but if people, that's why I try not to say, are you okay? Because I know even if you say you are, some days you probably not.
That's honest. She'll say no.
Oh, no, Daphne is extremely honest about how she feels. Like, I'm like, how you doing? Just cried my eyes out for 2 hours. But I like it because I know that she probably don't feel like she's moving in the grieving process, but you really, really are. And to have had so much, so young, and that's what I be telling her. Be kind to yourself. Like, be grateful to yourself. Like, there's so much resilience in you. Both of y'all, like, to be able to get up and get dressed. I don't think people realize the courage that take, the strength when your heart is broken, when your soul is broken, to still show up for people. When you're around people, you feel alone. But to be vulnerable enough to, like, every time I hear Destiny say, stay close to me, because I need y'all. I love to hear you say that. You like, ain't no 2 weeks when you offer me your time. I come back here. I want y'all I want y'all near. So I appreciate that.
That's vulnerability right there. It's just being like, I'm open. Like, I just got so much of me leaking out, and I just need everybody just pour into me because I'm not okay. And
it teaches me how to love her. She's saying, I need you to show up. Don't call me. Don't text. Show up for me. Is that what you're communicating, Destiny? You want?
Yeah, because like, even during like the previous losses, I just feel like when it's not other people that they give you like the time being, maybe up until the funeral and the repast, and then you don't hear from a lot of people no more. You don't hear those words of encouragement, or even like words where you feel like kind of like made you feel a little better. But like you said, for TT, like the triggers for me was, oh, it's okay, you'll be able to have another one, rainbow baby, miracle baby. It's like, having another kid is fine. Having another kid after my first one, that's fine, but I still don't have that ability to walk out with my daughter. And it was literally 32 weeks and 2 days that I lost her. So I really just kind of felt like, when I be telling people like, just stay close to me, it's because, like, I mean, a lot of people didn't know, but during the time of pregnancy, I was like trying to commit suicide. I didn't have nobody to talk to. Only person that I really felt like I had that connection with, because share my whole life with, was my mom. She was no longer able to answer her phone. So it's still like, even being like in denial about her death, I just still feel like maybe she in Jamaica and she gonna return back soon. And then the week that I lost my baby, like, I lost a close friend that I practically grew up with on the 1st of January. 3rd of January came, I lost Malaya. 4th of January came, I lost my little cousin to gun violence. Then on the 8th, I lost my auntie. So it was like all in within 1 week. It was like I was trying to grieve, but the only thing that I could grieve about was my baby and my mama not being able to hold me and do what I needed her to do. And it's like, I experienced with my generation a lot of people that's like disrespectful with their parents, or like don't respect their elders. And it bothers me to the point where I kind of get into it with everybody about it, because it's like, when she gone or when your father passed away, it's they're no longer coming back. So that last argument that you had, if she passed away that night, you can't take that back. You don't get the last goodbyes. You don't get the last I love you. And it's just like, it's hard. So I like grew a lot from grieving, with being able to go to therapy and being more open to talk about it, because being suicidal isn't fun. And that's why I always kind of, I mean, sometimes I can't stand them, but I gotta love them, because due to the circumstances of us living together, I probably would have took myself out a million times if Marcus wasn't here to like protect me and snatch a knife away or slap the pills out my hand. Like I tried so many different strategies of trying to commit suicide that I couldn't get through as long as he was around. So I just like sometimes even seeing like people lose their baby now, a lot of people that I noticed come to me and ask me like, how am I so strong? Or they ask me questions and I tell them like, I'm really the weakest link, but I mean, you got to push through it because at the end of the day, like, I mean, my baby would never come back. So, I mean, she'll never be forgotten. But like TT said, like everything that's happening from birthday parties or vacations with kids, when people, I go outside and everybody got their kids with them, it's like my baby is missing still. So depending on how I wake up that morning and how I feel from every day of crying, I probably went to every other day. And now it's just, I cry when I get a chance. Like I try to stay busy and try to stay occupied, but nothing takes away that feeling at all.
I think crying is healthy though. I don't think that you're the weakest link. I think pain can be debilitating.
Right,
So,
you're struggling.
yeah, like that's okay though. And I'm grateful to God that none of the attempts went through because you have so much in you. And I think that grief seems so lonely because it's a taboo topic. Like
Very lonely.
but it's like, okay, so as much as I love both of y'all, there are times where I'm texting and I'm staring at the text message for a long time before I send it because I don't want to seem insensitive. I don't want to trigger you if you're having a good day. I don't know what to say. So I think sometimes people avoid you, not because they don't love you, not because they ain't think about you, because they just don't know, which I don't recommend. But I do listen. So I know that like for Davy, I know for Davy birthday, Delisa is not a that's not a celebratory thing. That's something that's private that she likes to do alone. I respect that. I usually I'll ask her, she say yes or no, and I go with that. I don't have no questions to ask, no follow up, nothing, because I go with her. Her grieving process every year, she's different. So I respect
Yeah,
whatever.
I'm not great at
Huh?
all. And Destiny, I 100% commend you to be able to say Malaya's name and to let off balloons in her honor. I ain't there yet. I cannot. I don't. I'm not there yet. You know, I can't like even pretend to smile on those days or bring people around me because it's just not a happy moment for me. So it's like when I see people that can actually like do like a balloon release or something like that in honor, it's a big deal to me because 7 years later, I am not there. Like I
That's
just
okay.
don't I don't want to celebrate it. I just don't want people around me. I don't want nobody smiling and laughing. Like, what y'all happy for? Y'all having a good time? This ain't no party. So
Mm.
I don't know how you do it,
Because
but it's real big.
some stuff is that therapeutic for you, Destiny?
Yeah. I feel like in a way that's kind of my way of telling Malaya
Including
that that she's like always remembered and that I'll never forget about her. Like, you're my first child, you're my first daughter. So like, I mean, really every given moment that I even get to receive any balloons, like I would just snatch them, like how I did at the gender reveal Sunday. I just snatch them off the porch and just want to say a little small message to my daughter to let her know, like, you're never forgotten. So that kind of make me feel better because I can't have those conversations with her in person. Like, I don't get to hear a first word or see you take your first steps, but just always know that like mommy will be here for you and that anything or any signal that you want to give me, just send to me. However you want to do it. I just sometimes feel like it's guidance for me to like follow and still want to be alive because I know she's watching.
All right.
yeah.
That's cool. Um, so after Davy, Delisa, I both y'all got pregnant in like 3 seconds. 3 seconds.
No, I didn't. It took me 9 months.
Destiny, it took you a month and a half?
Yeah. I was conceived February 15th and she was born on January 3rd. So
not even a month and a half.
Literally.
No, see, I had Davy, and I had Davy in January 28th. I got pregnant in September.
It seemed
so 8 months,
than that to
7 months.
Oh, that seemed fast.
You know what I think it is? I think you be in a rush. I think after you lose a baby, like even though mentally you're not there, you kind of be in a rush to have it again because everybody give you that whole spirit. You can have another one. But Destiny says something like, you don't realize how important firsts are when you lose a baby. The first time you hear your baby cry, the first time they look into your eyes, the first time your baby lay on your chest, the first time you feed your baby, burp your baby, the first time you put your baby to sleep and wake up, the first day with your baby, the first steps, first words, first day of school, first graduation. It's so many firsts that you miss out on. So it's almost like when you feel that it kind of make you kind of, I don't know if it make Destiny make you feel kind of rush. I must not have been ready because my body did not get pregnant like Destiny's. I'm not going to say I was not trying. I would tell myself I wasn't, but in the back of the mind, man, I really was. I would say out loud, I'm not trying to get pregnant. I'm like, yes, I am trying to get pregnant. Every time I have a period, I'm like, guess I'm still not pregnant. Yeah. But but after I got pregnant again,
Okay.
but I didn't know I had to do some self-talk and like really evaluate, like you really was like, because I get my period and I get a little depressed every time I have my cycle. Like, why do I feel like this? Because I think I'm not trying to get pregnant, but I am. The back of your brain be doing something at the front of your brain. Y'all be arguing sometimes, but the back of the brain be doing. But it's like for me, pregnancy after a loss was one of the most scariest thing I've ever done in my life. Because like I told you, pregnancy lost its innocence for me. So I was scared. I didn't want to be around other pregnant women that are at the same time, which was scary. Because it was a toss-up. Which one of us gonna have a baby, Or other women, it was a lot of women that I went to high school with that was pregnant at the same time. So it was like me and celebrities too. It literally like me and like 10 other women. Like, it's funny now because I see all my babies graduate from kindergarten this year. But I was looking and I'm like, it's too many of us pregnant right now. Too many. So how are we all going to bring babies into this world? Because in my corrupt mind, somebody baby gonna die, because that's all I know now. All I know now is loss. Pregnancy loss. Everybody else know pregnancy, live birth. I know pregnancy loss. So I'm scared. So I had a great doctor who would,
the whole team was great.
Yeah, would hear all my struggles. They gave me the option because of my cervical issue to have surgery, which is called like a cerclage, that can keep your cervix intact and help you carry a viable pregnancy longer. I opted out of that. And I rode with my doctor. I trusted him. If I got scared in the middle of the night, he would let me text him. If I just wanted to come in the next day, he'd let me come in first thing in the morning just to give me a little ultrasound and send me on about my way. Like, yeah, he could go ultrasound, going to work, but he took care of me. I loved him. He was God sent, I needed that man for my pregnancy. Otherwise, I would have lost my mind. So I had a great, great, great team, because my team for my first baby, the nurses, beautiful, doctors, horrible. But this time I had great doctors, great nurses. I had a great physician's assistant. I had everybody was great. And I didn't carry that pregnancy as long as I wanted to either. I ended up having her at 29 weeks, which was so scary to me. She stayed in the NICU for 8 weeks, and she didn't do nothing to never grow. She was the perfect baby. I saw babies that was born after her that had more struggles than her. It was like I didn't carry her as long as I wanted to, and she had to live in the hospital for 8 weeks. But she didn't have no set. She had one setback. She had to get a blood transfusion. But other than that, she grew. She was hitting all her milestones, and they thought she would have to stay in for 11 weeks, but after 8 weeks, they sent her home, and she's just been a breath of fresh air ever since. Then my pregnancy after that, it was just like, okay, we're going to just see how this go. I got the the surgery though to get the cerclage because
And
I
was
didn't want
gonna,
another premature baby.
she was gonna stay in there because she do what she want to do. But I can say that I've always known that, and some people may say that I am that this is a bias, and it's, but I don't believe it is. I feel like as a Black woman, you have to fight to be heard. And I feel like going to the doctor and making sure that you advocate for yourself needs to be first priority. Never mind who you upset, never mind who you make uncomfortable, because at the end of the day, you know your body and you know when something is not right, and you don't allow anybody to turn you around and say, go to the end of the line, because I'm not. And then I might go to the end of the line, but I'm gonna find me a better team that makes me feel comfortable. We have to trust each other. And if you can't hear me, I don't trust you. And if I don't trust you, I can't go with you. But I can say
Not at the baby.
I was so confident in God and the team with Dea that I forgot you was 29 weeks when you was delivering. Like, I never was worried. I was excited. I was happy.
I was so mad at you.
I know you
I
was.
was so mad at you.
But she came
You're like,
out.
why are you crying? Because she early. I'm doing the same thing over again. It's just this time she stayed in 7 more weeks. Same scenario. Why do you think I'm crying?
Hell, why don't you just cry? Like, why you trying to like fight your tears back? Like, everybody can see it. If you blink, you're gonna flood the room. Just cry.
I
Like,
was frustrated.
over there.
I was just frustrated because I didn't expect to have it that night.
But she cried. She did not need to be intubated. She is a miracle, like a living miracle, a 2-pound, 7-ounce little lamb sounding like with the heaviest voice in the world now. Miracle. And the way you just took on pumping in the middle of the night, even when she was in the NICU, making sure that you had enough milk for her, living at the hospital for 12 hours, thinking somebody was gonna live up there with you. No, it's amazing how mommy instincts just kick in and you do whatever needs to be done to get that baby home safe. So I commend you. I'm proud of you. Because Dale would have been getting somebody else's milk. Okay. That hurts really bad, especially seeing like your nipples like bleeding and crack. Oh my God. Yeah.
Don't be trying to scare Destiny. Destiny, you gotta breastfeed, okay? I don't care if your nipples crack.
Breastfeed. She gets so prejudiced people that don't breastfeed.
And it was crazy because it was like before Malaya, I didn't see milk, but when I had her, it was like my milk was like dripping. I was like so irritated, like why? Like I think that was kind of a trigger too, because I'm like, why is this now?
Definitely a trigger.
I always said I was gonna do breastfeeding, maybe half and half if it hurt too bad, because I always hear it hurt.
Listen, don't call them doing half and half. Just
I would spend out at your house whipping your boob out, giving it to that baby. You trying to make formula. I'm throwing that formula in the garbage. We gonna do straight boobs.
So this time, Destiny, when you urinated on the stick and they said pregnant, immediate thought.
Okay, I can be honest. So like
yeah.
that when your man is arguing, going back and forth, I was having that. Everybody was like, Destiny, are you trying to get pregnant? I was like, no, I'm not. But it truly, deep down in my heart, I did want to get pregnant again.
Destiny, everybody, just for the record, we all knew.
My cycle was irregular before. So like I didn't see like a lot of cycles because I was on birth control for a long time. And right when I got out birth control, literally 2 weeks later, Malaya was conceived. I don't know how, but I don't know. But, I literally maybe peed on like 15 or 20 sticks. I wouldn't even, and all of them came out negative. All of them. So it was heartbreaking.
With this pregnancy or with Malaya?
With this pregnancy. With Malaya, I was
Malaya.
Yeah, with Malaya, I was just like cramping. So I went to the doctor and they was like, oh, you're pregnant. I'm like, what? Like, that's the wrong test. But with this baby, it was like, even though I know I was trying, I felt like I was trying too hard because it wasn't happening for me. But I don't, like, some people do say like after you had a baby, you still kind of feel flutters and all of that. So I think I was like more eager into becoming pregnant than like trying to focus on my health or like work better towards something else. So I peed on like maybe like 15, 26. I think I was getting him excited for both us to be depressed. And when I went to the doctor, matter of fact, so I was with Cece. I went for chest pains. After Himalaya, I was on blood pressure pills. My blood pressure was really high. I was really sick. I had chest pains where it felt like it was constant pain just shooting through my chest. So I went in and they told me, actually my blood work came back that I was pregnant. So in my head, I'm like, I am. And I asked them like, I am, but it was like peeing on a stick didn't tell me. So I'm like, do I got to go to the doctor and get blood work to find out if I'm pregnant or not?
Was that February? That was February?
Yeah, that's when I went for my chest pains. It was February 19th. So that's when I found out that I was pregnant.
You know, I actually watched a episode of my own podcast, Coach. This Too Shall Suck, because hers is about grief. And she said that was something that she had experienced, the chest pain, because I remember your chest was hurting. I was thinking maybe it was like post-COVID. But she said it was after her dad died that she would wake up in the middle of the night, around the same time, and she would take like a deep breath and she would feel chest pain. And when she started to research it, she found out that we grieve. You can grieve. Well, you know, you can grieve in anything, but you can grieve in your lungs. You can grieve in your GI system. You can grieve in whatever. And I think that that's part of the reason why I'm like, okay, get grief counseling. Okay, like whatever it is that's going to help you cope, like do that. And I know it's not a one thing, because at the end of the day, we are whatever we put in our bodies, if it's stress, if it's anxiety, if it's fear, all the rest of that stuff, it comes out of us. And we're creators, right? So we create everything. It goes in us, we incubate it, and we produce it to the world, not just babies. Because right now, Destiny, you're a human incubator. You're holding on to the new baby, and your stress level, your mental state, your everything has a lot to do with the baby that's in your tummy. So that's why I think being mentally and emotionally as healthy as we can is good. And then having a couple people that you can fall apart in front of. And then the next day you're like, okay, up and at them. Again, I know that when Malaya had the urn, I know there was a lot of resources in there. Did you look into any of that to help you, or you just, y'all was just like, what, every day I'm just gonna do what I need to do today to.
Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to talk to Hardhead, but I don't know. I can't figure out his way of grief, but I didn't use the information that I got with her because my nana came with her therapist, and she just kept begging me, like, just go talk to her and see if you like her. So like that very first time I actually sat down and talked to her, that's what I've been going to. So she like kind of.
But that's hard to find a therapist that you like.
Yeah, it is. And it was the very first time, and I was like, I like her, and I think I liked it more because she like more she upfront, and like she like straightforward with everything. Like she's not the therapist that's gonna sit and tell you like, oh, everything is gonna be better, or you have to do this and that, like try to make you feel better about the situation. She's like giving you like the reality of life. So I think that's why I like her more. She do still constantly, like if I don't come on a Thursday or if I have to reschedule or something, she do text during the week, ask me how I'm feeling. Like she checks on my well-being. So I think kind of like why I like her a lot.
Dope.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And you know what, too, Destiny, it's hard, like grieving the loss of your child with your significant other, because trying to understand the way they grieve is frustrating, and it'll cause a lot of fights. Like if you look around after losing your mom and you see how your nana grief, or how Dominique grief, and how you grief, because that was Kevin, that was a great loss for all of y'all, because Ebony, Ebony was Ebony. So everybody grieved different. And then on top of that, I mean Kevin is a male, but so is Marcus, right? So, and a lot of times men don't know that it's okay to be sad, that it's okay to sit down and take a minute, that we need them in that moment. And um, it's like sometimes it's just the reality of it, and it sucks. But sometimes you find yourself grieving your child by yourself. It's not fun at all, and it feels good to have somebody there with you, but their level of understanding, their level of grief is very different from ours. And I would find myself trying to make our grief match. And when our grief didn't match, I would get pissed off. Like, why you don't feel like how I feel? Why you not say it like me? Or, I don't, you don't even talk about our son. I don't ever hear you mention his name. And it would literally, it was cause fights, and it would just make me resent him. It would make me hate him. And I just had to like come to like the realization, like, okay, Lisa, this is how you're grieving. And this is what you need in this moment. And I don't know how he's grieving what he needs in that moment. And right now, I can't give him what he needs either. He can't give me what I need because we've both lost something great. So sometimes it's just y'all just gotta go in y'all separate corners and grieve. And you just have to understand that while he's not understanding how you're grieving, you're not gonna understand how he grieve either. So like don't, obsess over like, why are you not grieving like me? Because it's never gonna mirror or look the same. It's gonna be different. So, I mean, that's just a little tool to put in your belt, you know. And you'll probably see it years later because it took some time, right? It took some years. And after some years went by, then, he would mention him, or he would say, man, I wish I could have, took him in a truck with me. Or man, I wish, certain things. So it's like, I know that he's missing him too, but the way he grieved never looked like how I expected it to. But I knew I had to let go of my reality of what my grief looked like, because I like people telling me how to grieve. People like, yeah, it's time heals all. No, it don't. No, it won't. Time ain't
Yeah.
healing nothing, because these wounds are still open. You learn to deal with things, but it still hurt the same. Malaya birthday, always gonna hurt. Malaya due date, always gonna hurt. You know, like your mom birthday, your mom death day, all that stuff is always gonna hurt. It's always gonna be triggering. So it's like, it's the level, it's just grieving different.
Yeah, that's a better understanding, because like, I don't know, I try to talk about Malaya with him, but it's more so like the most I can get him to say, or the most he would say, was like, oh yeah, she was just so pretty. I just wonder what life would be. Or he give me like short to little like conversations about her. So it's like, I just sometimes it do irritate me, and I just be like, you're irritating. Like, you don't have nothing more to say besides, yeah, she was pretty. But like you said, like, I probably just don't understand his grievance, or if he do cry, I don't see it. So I'm not satisfied with it. So like, I don't, like, in the back of my head, sometimes I be feeling like he don't care, or he, like, I guess, don't know how to deal with it, or deal with it how he wants to, but it's not what I want him to do. So I'm glad you explained that, because probably now I can probably stop breathing down his neck, because he probably be looking at me crazy like,
Right, ma'am. And you know what else? Like, if you read any study, it is challenging for married couples. And I don't care how old the children are. Usually a great loss. A lot of marriages don't survive. Some do, but the ones that survive are the ones that respect the fact that every person is grieving differently. So I noticed that men don't do a lot of talking. They weren't taught to do that. They stay busy. So they running around like chicken with their head cut off, trying to stay busy. And now I feel alone. The woman feels isolated. You left me. You don't care. You ain't trying. You ain't said, because you're having a good time. It's like, at the end of the day, who taught them how to be emotionally vulnerable and naked and things? And I mean, even your daddy. I was talking to him yesterday. He was all emotionally. I'm like, do you cry in front of your daughter? No. Why? I'm like, you're human. She needs to see you use your own tears. Like, this is like, I mean, at some point we have to understand that tears are healing to the soul for everybody, but old habits die hard. Who taught men to talk about their feelings? Men can express love, when you start correct, especially men that are not like emotionally mature yet, not men, people that's not emotionally mature. When you try to tell them about something that they do that hurts you, they immediately start defending themselves. How dare you? Like, sir, I'm telling you what I need. Ain't nobody talking about you. What's the matter with you? I said I wanted you to stay in this house with me. I'm lonely today. But at the same time, it would be easier if he could just say, that's me. I'm having a hard day today too. Like, I can't handle my tears and your tears today. That this is heavy for me. And I gotta stay busy because what else am I gonna do? Because I know Delisa's rage was explosive, like feeling like she was she was so mean. I was scared of her. Like
I was angry. I was angry. I was bitter. You know, I don't know, I wanted to hurt somebody like how I was hurting because I was just hurting so bad and I didn't know what to do with it. And I just hated happy people around me. Like, why y'all smiling? Like, well, what's funny? Like, what are you doing? What's happening?
Yeah.
What happened good in your life today? Because nothing happened good in mine.
What?
Yeah. I think I used him a lot too because I think like after Malaya was literally like the first time I probably told him, like the first time in life, but literally I've been telling Marcus like, oh, I just wish you would die or go to jail already. And I just feel like that is like so heartbreaking to say, like I have to apologize a million times because I know if it happened that I'm gonna be the one that's crying, I'm gonna be the one that's hurt for real. But it's just like, that's all I wanted. Like, I don't know why I pinpoint Marcus, but it's like, if I don't pinpoint or bully him, then I feel like I probably like I don't know, in life just a person just look at me wrong, I just start like popping off. Like I was angry, but I didn't know how to control it. So that's why I kind of like isolated myself from a lot of stuff too. Cause it's like I can go outside and usually if somebody look with a still face, I can ignore it. But this time it was just like, okay, now what you looking at? Now I'm starting stuff or I'm fighting a lot. And it's just like, I had to figure it out and find a way to like start releasing rage, but not on people.
Yeah. Pain is poisonous. And that's why I don't believe in internalizing and holding stuff in. That's why I think you need to talk. You need to journal. You have to get that stuff out of you. When you see rage and you see people that's in this world that's hurting each other, they're hurt. And hurt people really do hurt people. And that's why it's imperative to heal because Danny and Dea gets a more happier, healthier version of you when you're emotionally better. Your new baby gets a more healthy, happier. The better you are mentally and emotionally, the better you show up in the world, the better mother you are, the more patience you have, the better daughter, the better friend. And I think when you look at it like that, you start saying, this, I really don't know how I'm gonna get from one place to the next, but I have to keep walking towards better. And someday I might trip in a hole and fall, but if I'm willing to get up, then it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, it's true.
I agree.
Yeah. So last words to people that love you both. Um, what what do you
Say that again.
like your last words from people that love you? What do you need in for other young women, old women, women, period, and fathers? Because I do think that fathers kind of get left out in this because we focus so much on mommies that we forget that it's a loss for them as well. Um, what would you encourage another young person behind you to do, and what would you tell the people that love you? What do you need from us today?
You speak that you gonna speak first, Destiny?
Yeah. At first I used to just feel like I don't need nothing from nobody. But like you said, like every time I release some balloons or when when like either one of y'all or somebody shoot me a text, that kind of makes me feel a lot better that people are actually like concerned about me. There's been plenty of times, I don't know why I gave these people my keys, but my daddy popped up, Cece pops up, you popped up before Rose, Dominique, they walking in my house. Like that make me feel better that I know that people are actually concerned. And without me answering the phone or answering text messages, even though sometimes I really truly be asleep. I just need my rest. That kind of make me feel better. So with family members and stuff, like constantly just checking on me and just checking on my well-being, it's okay to ask, am I okay, or how I'm feeling for the day. For other women that lost their kids, I'm really kind of pretty much an open book. I don't mind people inboxing me or texting me, asking me how I feel about situations. I'm always like a shoulder that people can cry on, especially after I dealt with it and have an understanding of it. I don't mind being an open book. So I would just recommend them too, though. Like, if you don't reach out to people, the most important thing to do is to stay focused and to stay alive, because it's gonna break you. But I feel like having conversations and actually trying therapy, like if the first therapist don't work, try another one. Therapy works. A lot of people say it don't, but it do. It's doing it for me. Um, just find a therapist and consistently talk to somebody that you trust. Yeah, certain people gonna be in your inbox or sending you words that you don't want to hear at the time being. Like I said, it was oh, have a miracle baby, you can have a rainbow baby, or like somebody, I can't remember who it was, but somebody was like, everybody was like, oh, your mama sent you a girl, and then it turned around and being, oh, well, your mama needed her more. Like, I didn't get that. What do you mean that she needed her more? Because at this point, you trying to make me dislike my mama? And like, so it was like confusing.
That's been crazy because she said that too. So now I'm starting to get an attitude with Ebony. Oh ma'am,
Just like, why do you need her more? And it's just like, that's why I felt I wanted a girl not to replace Malaya, but I felt like truly in my heart, like, it don't matter if you had 10 boys. My mama always wanted everybody to have a girl. Like, she was a girl person. So I just felt like everything that I wanted to do with Malaya and everything like that, like, I have to have this baby and literally let Malaya live through both of us. The stuff that I couldn't do with her, love to do with my baby. So I'm just figured out. Like, I felt like even with a boy, like, they feet get too big, they expensive. Like, I don't want a boy no more. I wanted it the first time, but I don't. So I would say, yeah, just stay positive, stay focused, and you can't judge yourself off of your personal thoughts. You just gotta talk about it. Like, I write too. I write in a journal. So, and cry.
That's good.
After I cry, I be feeling good. So
I am so proud of you.
Thank you. I'm trying.
Me too.
You're doing it, baby. You ain't trying. You over there killing it.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
Thank
you. For me, I think what I need is just that acknowledgement, for people to acknowledge, like, hey, you're a mommy of 3. You had 3 kids. You have 3 kids. You know, like, on show me some grace around holidays if I'm not showing up, because sometimes I can, sometimes I can't, which is why I'm trying to do something for New Year's Eve, because from November through December, it's just always like, to me, you know, and then it's like,
it has gotten so much better. You don't see yourself. It has, I mean, when I say evolved in such a way, it makes my heart smile.
Thank you. But like, so, but what I would encourage any woman behind me that happen to have such a tragic loss, I would just always say, give yourself grace. Allow yourself to grieve. There's no right or wrong way to grieve. There's no time limit. Grieve as long as you want to. Don't let anybody rush you or tell you that you're doing it wrong. Well, if you want to scream, scream. If you want to cry, cry. If you want to freaking airbox like Trey on Boys in the Hood and sock the air up, enjoy. You know, just get it all out, because it is, you know, it's sadness it's pain, and then there's rage. And you have to get that anger out, because you mad at everybody. You mad at God. You mad at your significant other. You feel like what you do wrong made me lose this baby. You mad at yourself, because it's a blame game. When you don't have answers, when you lose something, it's like, well, maybe I didn't eat enough. Maybe I drink enough water. Maybe you stressed me out too much. Maybe you did this. Maybe the doctor said, it's like you like blaming everybody. You're just so mad because you can't get to the bottom of it. I would just say, just be graceful, just allow yourself to feel how you feel, and just, cry, scream, yell, punch, and smile whenever you can, because those smiles don't be as easy as it was before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in on that. I totally agree with TT. Only because my therapist literally shared with me, like, it's different stages of grief, and you can be in denial, you can have the rage phase. It's like 6 different stages. So she told me I already was moving my first day seeing her, I was already above the process by accepting the fact that I was literally going through each and every stage of grief at that moment. So I feel like how TT said, like, grieve however long you want. That's true. Like, you just gotta be able to grieve, and however you do it personally or along with another person, you have to accept the fact that that person is gone, but you also have to accept the fact that you're grieving. And so you just can't deny it. Like, you have to be accepting of yourself.
Even when you have a day, because I mean, I know people like to say the time heals all things, and I don't think time does. I believe that when you're working towards it, then you find more. I believe God heals all things, but there are some of my friends I talk to that have had significant others, whoever, that's passed away over a decade ago, and they dealt with it, and then out the blue they might wake up, and that day it's like the first time they hear it again. That don't mean that they stay there. That mean they had a really bad day, and then they're able to talk about it and able to help other people process, because there is no expiration date on when you lose a person that you loved and that you were expecting to do forever with. Like, it's naive to say that. And that's why I try my best to just be, because ain't no words. I think that's frustrating for people that's grieving, that they gotta keep being polite to everybody being ignorant. Like, just be quiet. You don't know what to say, just don't say nothing.
And don't tell me you sorry. Sorry for what? Oh, you just looking for something to say. Just say my condolences to some of you out of words. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry for what?
And
why you saying you sorry?
It's like, I'm sorry kind of triggered me too. Like, because it's like, especially when you don't understand, when you didn't lose a parent or you didn't lose a child, like, what are you sorry about? And what can your sorry do for me?
Nothing.
Nothing. Piss me off.
Sad. I don't say sorry only because Lisa is crazy and I was in the car with her when people telling her that, but I will, like, when it's somebody I love, I say, I hate it for you. And I do. Like, I hate this for you. And after that, how you doing today? Because I don't know what else. I just want people to,
even if I use the word sorry, I would say, I'm so sorry that you're going through this, or I'm sorry that this is happening to you, or I'm sorry that you have to deal with this. But I ain't gonna say I'm sorry. Keep being sorry.
Sound like Lil James.
You hate him too.
Like, even though my mom was a very well-known person, it was like, what are you sorry for? And don't tell me don't tell me everything gonna be okay, because it's not. That
it ain't not never.
Oh Lord, I just be trying to give people the benefit of I just be trying to ignore people.
People really don't mean harm. They're really trying their best to do and say whatever they think they can do and say to make you feel better. And there is no making nobody feel better. There's no steps to skip. There's nothing. And it's the point. You feel helpless when you love people and you looking at them and you like, dang, like, this is so heavy. If I could shoulder some of this for you, I promise you, I would take it in a heartbeat. So when people say, like, I'm sorry, it's because I don't want your heart to be broken. I didn't want this for you. I didn't want your world to be shattered. And I'm helpless. I can't do nothing for you.
Say that. Don't just leave it at sorry. Say something behind. follow up with some more sentences. You got some more words in you besides I'm sorry? Because if you're gonna just say I'm sorry, then you could have kept them. You could have swallowed those.
But okay, so I'm gonna thank both of you for sharing your experience with me and the rest of the world. I am happy to say that Delisa has a 6-year-old and a soon-to-be 3-year-old that needs a spanking really bad. And and that is one of the beautiful things that have came after Davey. I do feel like you're a better advocate for yourself, a better advocate for your children, and a better advocate for people that you love, and you're a better police officer too because of it. You don't notice it, but you are. And Destiny,
I noticed it.
do you? How many weeks are you?
I'll be 17 weeks tomorrow.
Destiny will be
Dang,
7.
Gina, that was quick.
Child, I cannot. It's super
You
fast.
almost 4 months. Well, you
Yeah.
are 4 months.
Yeah.
We play too much.
But I know when you do that, man. Your birthday.
Yep, she girl got her name and everything. I'm like, you weren't playing no games, boy and girl names. But
It was a M names.
You said what?
It was a list.
It was a list
from Malaya. It was like when I got pregnant the first time, I just made M names.
Oh, see, I didn't know.
You remember that? You remember that? We had a whole group text message with the M names in there.
I know
when we chose Malaya.
Yeah, because Mila, I matter of fact, I did kind of look that up. I looked up more girl names because I wasn't feeling Malaysia and Makai no more, so I had to change.
Did you look up? I try to look up the meanings behind names. Did you get the name meaning?
No, I
like spell and I'll look it up for you.
Okay.
Big joke. But I do want you guys to look in the mirror and say, like, I am literally a warrior. Destiny, I bet I never in my life ever hear you say that you're the weakest link ever again, because it is not the truth. The furthest thing for the truth. Like,
you didn't show them more than everybody on this Zoom and most people that I know, and you still standing.
Mm-hmm. That's the
strongest person I know.
Child, that's
not that being strong is fun, because being strong ain't fun at all. I understand that,
but she gonna go around the world. Like, she's going to help masses, many of people. And I know that when you have greatness inside of you, but that enemy, he be trying to talk you into killing yourself and all the rest of that stuff, because there'll be many people that saved through your testimony, through your words of encouragement, through your journey. So just remember that even though it ain't what you would have chosen, you'll be able to help somebody. And I think that helps me to know that I can help somebody else. So keep on keeping on. I love y'all. I'm proud of y'all. I'm glad to be attached to both of you all, to have your blood going through my veins, because it just reminds me. Huh?
So we love you too.
Oh, we definitely do love.
Yes. So Destiny is 100% an open book. Destiny, you want to give me your social media? This is going to be on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and iHeartRadio.
Well, I got a million Facebook pages, but I'm gonna just say Destiny Waller, DESTINYWALLER on Facebook. I don't use Twitter no more, so you can use my Instagram, and that's __DESXTINY. Want me to tell my Snapchat too?
It's however you want to be reached. It's up to you.
My Snapchat is CTBDSS. So those 3 on the most.
I'll make sure when it goes up, I'll put it underneath the post. And Delisa, just you like Facebook or just Instagram?
Instagram. And Instagram is @JustDelisa, @JUSTDELISA. And of course, Delisa, love Nicole.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so thank you guys. Make sure you rate this episode. And then seriously, these women are a wealth of information, and they are not stingy with it. So if you need them, lean on them. If you can't find a fancy social medias, you can message me, Rip, Rattled, and Rose, Instagram, Facebook and YouTube, and I'll make sure that they'll get your message. Thank you all for listening. It's a wrap, and we're out.
Bye. Love ya.
Who you love, girl?
Y'all.